Hey guys, welcome to Knights Code AI. Today I want to show you some of our latest updates to the game called The Traveler, which I've been working on for about a year, off and on, and I'm using AI quite heavily to create these create the logic for the game. And I'm going to show you just the latest update that we've done for our game. So let's lock in. All right, we have essentially I've added some icons in order to handle class binding and archetype binding to certain characters. So you have these heroes, the Beastmaster, Commander, Economist, which do different things, and then you have items that you can buy in the shop, and then attach those to your fighters. Your fighters then go on to an auto battler map very similar to TFT, and you go through a series of villages where you can buy items and sell items, do adventures, recruit more fighters, things like that. But basically, what I've done, and I haven't added any hover icon or hover text yet to these icons, but you see on the left and the right, we have two different icons. This one is essentially saying what archetype it is, so that determines whether a it's compatible with a certain fighter. And the right side is a class binding. So if you look at these three items, basically what you can see is right now we have the hemp rope as a light weapon. We'll probably change that. And the quarterstaff, light weapon. The backpack as looks like we have it as armor, and we're still working on the icons as well. You know, we're right now we're just trying to have the capability of having icons, having them mean something as far as attaching them to a fighter, and then writing that logic. So I'll show you how we did that. So let me refresh here. Maybe I'll get some better examples. So now we have this antidote as just an accessory item, but it can only be used by priests. This is an iron spear that can only be used by rangers, and it's considered a light weapon. And this wooden shield can be attached to anybody, and it's light armor. So we'll go through a couple more examples to see. Because this is a beast, we actually there's not much you can attach to a beast in this scenario. So let me restart here and actually do some recruiting in the first round. So I'll get the economist this time. The economist hero power is essentially things cost less than you can sell them back for more. So we're going to start out with recruiting. Let's just grab all of these. I have an excessive amount of gold just because I'm in demo mode. And then you see we have our three options here. We can buy something, do something, get something for free. That's generally what happens in the village. All right, so here we have a priest and two warriors that we've recruited. And you see a lot of both of these items on the left and right are for rangers only. And then we have a sling that is ranged. And so we could attach it to a fighter that is any class, but that has a range compatibility. So I'm doing compatibility instead of proficiency because it's not so much that if you attach this sling, you would get bonus for because your fighter's proficient, but it's more of a strict compatibility where only ranged fighters can use this weapon. So if you don't have it, if you haven't been trained, in if a fighter hasn't been trained to use ranged weapons, then they wouldn't be able to use this effectively. That's the idea. And then so we have a long sword here. So we'll grab the long sword and then we should be able to attach this to Sir Kale. So you'll notice one other thing is we don't have anything on the card that matches these icons. We haven't done that yet. That's the next step. But you see, when you hover, you can see the icons. You can kind of get an idea of whether it could be attached or not. And you can't see the log. I don't have the error popping up yet either. But if we look at the log, there's an equipment validation failed. So this is what would be displayed when that when you try to drag that and that happens. So Sir Kale cannot use a light weapon item. So I'm not exactly sure why I have my long sword as a light weapon, but I'll change that. And I can change that pretty easily. So let's find something we can actually attach to Sir Kale here. So this is a warrior. Both of these are warrior and heavy items. So let me grab both of those, and then you'll see I can actually attach that. So now that is attached. It's a two-handed weapon, so it goes in his main hand and offhand. And then I can find some armor that Sir Kale can wear. Let's try to find a something for our priest. So quarterstaff, we should be able to attach that to the priest. Okay, so if I try to attach that, it doesn't work. And if you look in the logs, um, it's gonna tell us requires warrior class, fighter is priest. So that's the things that we want to pop up somewhere. That'll be a later feature that we add is actually so people can get that players can get that feedback of okay, I tried to drag that there, it didn't work. So as you can see, I can go through here. This is also a warrior, so I can attach that. And then, you know, I'm gonna go back to the village. Let's get out of here, and then maybe I'll go in here. I'll grab some potions. So we got a couple of priest potions here, which I'll get that, and then should be able to not attach it here, but I can attach it to the priest. Can I attach it to the priest? Let's see what happened. Seraphina cannot use accessory items. Okay. So that's every fighter should be able to use accessory items. That's something I have to add. So let me do that real time. I'll show you how to use AI to fix this very quickly. So what I have is um, while I'm in development here, I essentially have all of my data for my different items in the game in this data field. And I simulate basically what I do is I simulate pulling them via API. So once I get these actually in a database where it makes sense, I can easily pull them via API. So I'm going to go in fighter data here, and you'll see I have 29 fighters, 29 fighter objects. And I'm just going to go in here and say, give all the fighters the compatibility accessory archetyped items. So the way it works is obviously, there's fighters only have one class for now. Um, in the future, we'll probably have dual class. But for now, they have one class. but they can have multiple compatibilities, and that's eventually going to show up on the. It'll show up on the fighter card here, somewhere over here. Once we get the fighter card in better shape. All right, so it's just going through. This is a good example of using Grok code fast. It does simple things like this very quickly, and that's what I love it for. It's just going through each fighter and adding this um, accessory. So before this particular fighter is a warrior, and um, was compatible heavy weapon, compatible heavy armor, compatible, and now accessories as well. So basically everybody's going to be able to use accessories. All fighters now have accessory. It didn't actually do it all. Let me show you something else. Like I can do it manually pretty fast also. So if I do this like this, and then we should, it's gonna start picking up on it, maybe. So the object is wrong, but I can hover on that, hit tab, and AI just fixes those. This is I mean, it's not fast. I'm not sure why Grok didn't just fix them all, and it thought it did. I haven't really experienced that too much, but you know, eventually we're gonna have hundreds of fighters, and obviously I'm not gonna go do this, but I just wanted to show you kind of how quick those little things are. Um, Figuring out that that needs to be F22. So cool. Now, I don't think this is gonna take effect right away. No, we're gonna have to restart the game again.
A few moments later.
All right, and now for our priest, we're able to attach it. So there you go. That's the new feature that we added. Next step is to add this iconography to these cards, and then have some kind of pop-up feedback that says, okay, this is why you weren't able to do that, or just some kind of success message. So stay tuned. Hope you're enjoying it, and we'll see you soon.